Amazing. All right. Tony Holmwood, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Katija. Looking,
How is isolation in Sydney?
well, as you probably realise, I'm working from home, so it's not too
Hmm.
different. But I must admit, I am suffering a little bit of cabin fever. Getting out once or twice a day, so the highlight of the day is a walk to the supermarket. Amazing.
How times have changed. I know. Goodness. And it's not just to, buy a bottle of wine. No, but look, I think I'm really excited to talk to you today. I think and I've said this to a lot of people lining you up, you're one of probably the most open-minded, considerate, probably one of the most emotionally intelligent people I've ever met. So I think definitely the amazing, I guess, insight you can bring to people in this really shitty time to some is going to be pretty amazing, and especially how to maintain that vision of leadership, which I think you have always counseled me on, and I value that beyond belief, and I think so many people will get a lot of value out of that today. So what I'd love to do just to start off is just for you to explain a bit about who you are, how you got to where you are, and a bit about your stories so people can get to know you a bit more.
Okay, sure. So essentially, my background is chartered accounting, and I think the reason why I did get into chartered accounting out of the university, I didn't really know too much what I wanted to do. So I, at the time, was a little hard on cash, and I thought was a great mathematician. So I thought I'd follow that road. So, but always throughout my career have been focused on business performance and strategy. So a little bit more future focused rather than obviously dealing with, I guess, past accounts and numbers. So always had a strategic outlook. Moved into commercial management, also into business transformation. Worked for some pretty big companies like Fonterra and Downer
Yeah.
and Oracle, which is where I picked up quite a few business insights around leadership, how not to run a company.
I was going to say for good and for bad.
Everybody's heard about culture at Oracle, and
Mm.
I'd gladly say it. And I think they are actually trying to address it at this stage. Although at the time I worked there, the founder had actually been stood down for SEC breaches, and
Right.
the COO had taken over, and he was probably one of the best strategic minds I've ever worked for. And at the time, I was working in Asia Pacific, looking after sales, planning, and compensation. And that was a really amazing position. Obviously dealing with salespeople, with consulting organizations,
Yeah.
setting their compensation plans, and obviously pulling the levers and yeah, obviously changing behaviors through compensation. And that's provided me with some really deep insights into my current career, which is more around culture. From commercial management, I stepped into change management. I had actually worked on a lot of IT projects, and I saw the importance of IT and change in organizations. Obviously, having experienced a few toxic cultures, so I basically moved into culture and change, and I really see the value of high performing cultures. And as they say, something like 50 to 70% of a company's culture is influenced by behavior. So, I've now sort of moved into coaching for leadership behaviors, as well as doing team agility and team-based coaching as well, which I see as quite a significant area for improvement within a lot of organizations today.
Yeah, and I think, as I mentioned, Tony, you and I have always had a very similar outlook on, I think, the importance of leadership when it comes to culture and how it can permeate through and really impact the team. And I think today I really want to be able to talk about why leadership is really important in these times, but also how to maintain a culture when we're all suddenly have gone through potentially a lot of trauma within a business and have kind of fragmented into a lot of different ways of working. So something we spoke about earlier, though, before this call was the importance of a purpose within a business and why that's important for leaders to be able to really understand and be clear about that. So what's your thoughts on that? And do you think it is actually that important in these times?
Well, actually, I have taken some notes, Katija, and I will refer, because of course I'm a bit of a generalist mindset. I don't, I've relinquished the detail, and yeah, when it comes to,
I love it. I love organized people. I tend to not be one. I tend to be by the fly. But you know, I think it's important, especially if you're you're approaching leaders. It's pretty important to say the right thing and not just bullshit the whole time. Not that I do that, but
I will openly report to my notes, and plus this is a really important area, and I don't want to miss anything. But
it is.
For my coaching and for in terms of leadership coaching as well, relationships are essential. Okay,
yeah.
So it's more about the one-to-one interactions, but also, you know, a leader executes through relationships and has to have the most essential social skills to actually obviously partake and also execute in that regard. So it's all about relinquishing the detail. A leader should be a generalist. They should know every part of the organization to a generalist level. But yeah, it's really up to them to empower the people within the organization to provide them with the information that they need. So definitely a big part of being a leader is to actually relinquish the detail. So in terms of promoting purposeful social and environmental causes, the more we objectively connect with purpose, the more we develop meaningful relationships. I think there's a motorbike starting up outside, but, both inside and outside of work. The more we actually deepen our social skills to develop environmental understanding and awareness. So, you know, providing purposeful goals and objectives within an organization just deepens the conversation. So,
Tony, can I just ask you, just on that, can you maybe give an example of purpose or what a purposeful goal is? Because I think a lot of people don't actually grasp the concept of being, you know, having a reason why you're doing something.
You know, the way I see it is you would either have a purposeful goal around social interactions, okay, supporting people within the community, you know, and as much as you're developing your community, you're obviously making them more capable of supporting your business.
Yes.
You know, the thing is, in order to bring in passion and purpose, which are actually, you know, instinctual type qualities within the human being, we have social instincts, which actually define our passion. The more we you know, the more we can actually define sort of social causes, the more we can get passionate and engage with that objective. So, you know, and how I actually state that is, you know, you can actually dig deeper into conversation when it's got more meaning. So, you know, it's a matter for an organization to just go a little bit broader and a little bit deeper in terms of what they represent. So, and the more you can sort of connect that to a social objective, but also an environmental objective. You know, it's people get passionate about, you know, saving koalas, or obviously, you know, within the community, a lot of people have preferences in terms of how they want to live, and that actually helps motivate people as well. So, so yeah, build your purpose around the values within your business. Engage those people within the business to actually contribute to your purpose. But obviously something that everybody can get passionate about, because that sort of draws them in, motivates them, gives them a sense of contribution, and encourages them to be engaged.
And that's such an integral part of culture, I think, and especially at the moment where there's so much fear around employment, around work. And I think, being able, as a leader, being able to maintain that vision and that purpose of why you're doing what you do, and making sure that your team believe that you haven't given up, I think is something that's really, really integral at this stage. And I'm seeing it in really good ways, and I'm also seeing it in really bad ways as well. And I guess that comes down to that point around self-awareness as a leader.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. A leader needs to be strong, and a leader needs to be resilient and show courage through these, obviously through these times, because nobody else is. The expectation is on the leader to actually lead by example, and a leader who is purposeful, true to who they are, will present as a lot more authentic to employees. So it's really, really important that the purpose of the organization aligns with the actual purpose of the leader as well. So and what I would say in terms of coaching leaders is to really sort of dig deep into what your instincts are telling you, and really sort of try and understand what your passion is, because your passion or your heart will guide your purpose. So the more you actually question what your instincts are telling you, both good and bad in terms of positive, negative, I also express them as likes and dislikes, which can also be defined as your strengths and weaknesses. So the more you actually define those instincts, and what you love doing is what you're passionate about, the more you can sort of define what your purpose is, and you can align your organization and also your team around what your passion and purpose is, and your self-truth. And when you can just be yourself within an organization and be authentic and genuinely care for your employees, they will step up and they will basically do anything for you. And with that comes trust. And the more a leader sort of embodies trust, and it's just trusting who you are, really. As I said before, knowing your instincts, trusting your instincts is basically just trusting your capability, because your instincts are pretty much a lifetime of learning and reinforcement and habits and beliefs and your values. Everything about your capability is basically expressed through your instincts, and they, as I said, provide a pathway to growth.
And on the flip side, Tony, this might be the time that people are in a leadership position and might be realizing that actually my values don't align with this organization at all. So I think it's a really interesting time to be able to personally reflect to see if you are in the right thing, and if not, to take that step to find or do something that really is aligned to what your is, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people in this world are probably in the wrong position, and you really need to question yourself through your career if you are really in a job where you can actually bring yourself, your whole self, to work, and you can live your career as a purposeful, authentic journey. The reality is if you're not living your passion and your purpose, you're probably not happy. You're probably demotivated, and you're probably just treading water and not probably contributing a lot to your work or to your career as well. So it's really important to dig deep. If you do find yourself in the right career, just go get some coaching, and just really try and understand what actually motivates you and what is your passion, because as soon as you can sort of come to terms with that, everything starts working. And as I've said, you can bring your whole authentic self to work when you are obviously living purposely. And that's so both in the workplace and
and in your personal life as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's to be authentic is to basically, you should be no different in your work situation. So when we actually cover some of the team-based objectives. To have a person turn up as their whole selves, not trying to be anybody else, but feel comfortable and safe within the environment where they can actually turn up and bring their whole selves to work. They're not trying to be anything other than themselves, and they're feeling comfortable in their own skin is quite powerful.
It really is, and it's something I've learned in my career. I know when I love what I do, but I only started to really love what I do when I started doing it on my terms, right? So, but I look back, I had leaders that were fantastic and others that were positively, oh God, there's a lot of swear words I could use, but I think it's also about maybe pivoting from, if you are in an organization, you've been let go or something like that, it may be the perfect time to start your own consulting or your own organization or whatever it may be. But I think, it's again looking inward and going, what do I stand for? What shit will I tolerate and what won't I? And then building the foundations from that.
Oh, totally agree.
So, Tony, what are the attributes of a great team leader? I really want to get into that because people are probably maybe sitting there going, well, I might be a good leader. How do I really understand if this is working and how that can come through within the organization?
Okay, so a great team leader or a great manager should act as a coach. And to a lot of managers and leaders in this world, that would actually require a change in how they actually obviously engage with employees. And I can tell you, for a lot of traditional directive command style leaders, that actually requires a mindset change and an attitudinal change. So first and foremost, if you want to get the best out of your employees, you need to treat them with respect. And to obviously do that, you need to change your mindset, and rather than obviously engage with power and authority, you need to engage with trust and empowerment. So it's basically, reversing the way you actually see the employee in terms of valuing their contributions and actually building them up and respecting them to actually deliver. So, and the more that actually happens, the more value they are willing to contribute. So, so basically, when it comes to a team environment, I would actually coach a manager or a leader in coaching skills. The more, and a lot of it is to do about emotional intelligence, and self-awareness, you say. Giving the leader confidence, but also awareness that the more they actually leave the team alone and allow them to actually be self-supporting and to actually pick ideas to the leader, whereas the leader just stands back, observes, and uses all of their emotional intelligence skills to actually train and coach behaviors and obviously help them to set their boundaries, but allow the team to actually pitch solutions and ideas to the actual team leader, to the manager, and being respectful enough to actually accept those ideas or challenge them and also encourage them. So, it's all about observing, which is very much a coaching mindset.
And I think you're right, because and this I think tends to happen, especially in businesses when they're smaller as well, when there's someone who's created a business all on their own, and then there's kind of handing over the reins, I guess, to when you start building a team. And it's not about it doesn't. In my experience, it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. There's a whole lot of things that need to happen alongside that, whether it be, leadership, but obviously operations, a whole lot of process and things that need to help to be able to facilitate that. So it's, again, having the foresight to allow your team to fail at times as well, and not just completely freak out if there has been an issue, and allow them to, as you said, find those solutions. And it can be challenging, especially, I guess, in these times, but if you want to grow and you want to have a team that feels valued and actually available to, bring their full self to work, I think that's really integral. Oh,
definitely. Actually,
And Tony, like, sorry, go.
one of the things about obviously promoting a self-supporting team is allowing them to be imperfect. And as you say,
Yes.
allowing them to make mistakes, because people learn from mistakes. And, if they make those mistakes as a team, and, it is a self-supporting team, that's a huge learning for the team. So,
yeah.
You need to respect them enough to actually obviously give them the power and empower them to actually make those mistakes. So, and I guess as a great leader, talk them through it and ensure that they have the capability and the tools and the resources to ensure that that doesn't happen again. And, it is a great learning experience. So.
Yeah, I find within my team, like I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I don't regret any of them because it's obviously given me a lot of insight, but also the ability to be able to relate to so many different people, especially within my team who maybe haven't done the mistakes that I had done previously. So now, like if something happens, it's just we'll address it and go, hey, cool, no problem. Just let's find a solution for next time. And I'll tend to sometimes give them a bit of an example of one time where I effed up, and I think it's about being relatable. And, sometimes I think one thing I would like to get your thought on is, is it okay to bring humor into the workplace and make it a bit fun sometimes when you're meant to be in a serious environment? I'd love to get your point on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Humor is extremely important. More than anything, what you want to create in a team environment is a fun environment. So people love to work. So, and humor is a big part of that. And, humor can always provide a very alternative view as well. And it's actually quite an important way of actually introducing innovation and very sort of left of field concepts. So, do allow employees to feel comfortable and have a laugh. So because obviously within a group environment, and it's all about collective conscience. So in terms of the training, and I'm actually doing a team-based training coaching course at the moment. It's all about the value between the noses and between the ears. So yeah, it's powerful when you can have a team which is operating, in a perfect environment with a lot of skills. That is extremely valuable because obviously the conscious becomes a collective conscious, and the perspectives of people obviously come together in a very powerful way. So. The sum of the parts is substantially worth a lot more.
Yeah.
In terms.
Well, I have to say, at the moment, we do a virtual team stand up or sit down at the moment, and one of the things we have been doing is just sharing funny videos and things that we've seen online as part of a thing, and then one of the things is if you didn't do it, then you've got to do something, you've got to perform. So obviously, being me and forgetting, I've got to do a dance for my team tomorrow. I'm not afraid to make an idiot of myself. I stick by the rules, but and I think it's important though. Like and it's really important. You said about before it breeds innovation, because I firmly believe that. And the ideas that have come out of just little ones that have come out of the team that they've kind of brought to me over the last week or two is awesome. And it's just been out of the fact that we've been able to take a bit of the pressure off the reality that's going on. We're being very, very transparent about the status of our business and what we're doing to also from a leadership standpoint from ops as well as sales and marketing to try and, I guess, recoup and maintain our business throughout this period. But by having that, it just kind of, I find, adds a bit of it just alleviates some of the stress. It adds this kind of nice team element that we are all in it together. And I think during this time where people may have so many, their home life may be completely disjointed or we don't know what's going on. I think having work as a constant, if it's available, is really, really important. And one thing I want to ask you, Tony, is about innovation. Like, what do you have any tips, or what would you, kind of give people right now, if they are working in these remote environments, things like that, how can you potentially instill innovation in a culture when there is a lot of pressure and stress as well?
So, this goes back to what we discussed before, is that, creating a safe, inclusive environment where the whole person can turn up. And when I say the whole person, I'm talking about their whole unique self. And if you have a unique opinion, you've got an innovative opinion. So, the thing is to create an environment where people aren't conformists. So, try and avoid groupthink.
Yes.
Diversity and inclusion is only valuable if you have diversity of opinions, and you can have people, in terms of being inclusive, allowing people to have a voice. So ensuring that everybody contributes. And as I said, collective awareness is very powerful. When everybody brings their whole unique selves, they bring their whole unique opinions, and that can be very powerful in terms of innovation. So providing a safe environment, allowing everybody to turn up and be themselves, their own unique selves, and express their own unique opinions is extremely valuable. That's where you actually get innovation. Create an environment of groupthink and conformity doesn't really present a lot of value. So,
it really doesn't. And I think this is going to be the catalyst of organizations that survive and thrive rather than kind of a dead in the water. There could be the most amazing idea that comes from the most junior person in your organization, and giving validation to people, even a forum, I guess, to be able to come to the party with whatever they're thinking is so pivotal. And at this time where, we're looking for innovation everywhere to be able to keep going in business, I think it's really important. So I guess my question to you then, as a leader, what are some kind of tactical ways that you can facilitate that kind of open conversation?
Yeah. So the most important thing as a leader is to recognize that innovation will probably come from the grassroots, from the coalface.
Yeah.
So, a leader should engage at every level. And if that leader is authentic and genuinely cares for employees, they can talk at every level. And when a person at the coalface, or a person, I've heard examples where, where I've worked when I worked for the Airports Corporation, and having people obviously out on the tarmac and having innovative ways of obviously preparing tarmac, and also cutting grass, whatever it might be. All that it took was actually listening to those people, and those people will always want to cut corners and make their lives easier. So it's just a matter of the leader of actually checking in and talking to those people and respecting them enough for them to actually come to the leader with solutions. So that's really important. And the more the leader sort of brings together the collective and promotes an inclusive, collaborative environment, the more you'll get solutions. So
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I think I totally agree. At the grassroots level, that's where I've always found the most amazing, incredibly sometimes left field, but then sometimes most simple ideas that come up that not only save the business time, money, but make everyone's lives a lot simpler when it comes to doing things. And this takes time to I think lose the ego, right? Lose the thing. I'm in the C-suite. I'm in the top of the chain. Like, get real, man. Like, you would have probably started down there once. Like, just be a good person, be a human, and be open to having conversations with people that are actually doing the bloody work.
I totally agree. My biggest learnings in terms of culture, the more you represent hierarchy in an organization, the more those hierarchies are represented in the minds. So when you break down those silos, when you flatten the structures, people start to actually open up their mindset, change their mindsets, and are more engaged. So if you have an authoritarian leader, that will basically create a pecking order, and that's what you don't want in an organization. If you want an innovative organization, you've got to open up the structures and preferably remove titles. And coach is a perfect title for a manager or a leader. So
right.
I know a lot of organizations, actually Walmart calls everybody associates. So at every level. So it's interesting when you can actually.
It is interesting
when you can obviously take out the status and the privilege and promote everybody on the same level. That's a very full motivator for people, but also an indication that leadership are really wanting to engage at every level. So and when you talk about egos,
yes,
the most important thing in terms of authentic leadership is to obviously surrender that ego. And the more you create the environment, the open environment, a sharing environment, obviously an engaging environment, inclusive environment, the more you'll be able to actually surrender that ego. So, make the effort to actively engage at every level, but treat yourself no different to anybody else in the organization, respect everybody, genuinely care, set purposeful sort of, obviously social causes are quite important to people. They want to know that they work for an inclusive organization that cares for their community as well. So when a leader actually starts tracking down that route, that becomes everything about transformational adaptive leadership. They leave the
I love it.
They leave the silos behind, and they open. In as much as they open their minds, they open up the organization.
That's it. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes back to being I won't say the final word, but a GC, just be good to people, man. It's not that bloody hard. And just remember that everyone has a story. Everyone's got something going on at home. They've got probably, a partner that's good or bad, or they don't have one at all, but everyone's human. And it's I think people forget that, especially in a work environment. And it's as soon as you strip it back and take away the work bullshit, and you kind of see through that and understand that this is someone who's going through, you don't know what, that's when I think it really starts to make a level playing field. Tony, my last question for you on this as well. Obviously, going through the whole COVID-19 thing right now, it's kind of just pulled the rug under the, and just put, what is it, remove the rug, or whatever that saying is. But for me, I want to know how this could potentially be a catalyst of culture change within organizations, or is it even an opportunity, or what do you think on how this could potentially help people reframe where they are at currently?
I see this as a huge opportunity. So, and my biggest wish and my greatest hope is that we come out of this as a lot more sort of socially inclusive in terms of a society. A lot more caring, kind in terms of organizations, which can be extremely powerful. It's if a leader, as I said, sort of adopts a mindset where they're a lot more caring and inclusive, that creates a very innovative culture. The more you sort of bring meaning and passion and purpose into a culture, the more you sort of define and motivate, drive and motivate your employees. And I think one of the most important things to obviously recognize here for leaders, the more they actually create inclusive, flat structures, and the more they actually open their minds, the more they're actually capable of visualizing the future, because build a lot of awareness. It's very right-brained. If they're very rational and fixed in terms of transactional leaders, like traditional leaders, they don't have the capability to actually set strategy. and you'll note a lot of our leaders in this age do not define a future pathway because they're not capable.
Yeah.
They're very operational. When you start to actually sort of surrender that ego and open your mindset, you have all the visual, spatial awareness, situational awareness skills that allow you to actually connect a future strategy. And as I said before, you do that through relationships. But as that, you get all the influencing and inspirational skills to tell the stories and to lead your team and your business into what can be big, bold objectives. And as I said, the more it's a purposeful pathway, the more people will step up and provide innovative solutions, and they'll change their mindsets and they'll change their skill sets to obviously try and meet those big, bold objectives. So the more a leader can be open and can obviously provide that future pathway and big, bold visions, the more they'll have a high growth culture.
Fantastic. So basically, get out of the weeds, stop doing the day-to-day, let your team do what they need to do. Don't be an asshole, get out of your ego, make sure that you are being self-aware and actually, using emotional intelligence where possible to connect and kind of think. And then, if you have managed to do that, you can start to plan the future, actually stop thinking it out of a fear mindset, I'm assuming, and kind of start looking at how to bring your business into the next 3, 6, 12, 24 months. Amazing.
So, let the team manage the operations, empower them to do it. You just set strategy and you inspire and influence them. And the more you can do that and run respect throughout the organization and be inclusive, the more you'll have a high growth organization.
Amazing, Tony. And thank you so much. And I guess if anyone's got any questions, I might ask, is it okay if they can pop them in the comments and I'll tag you in them and you can give your 2 cents. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
I'll buy you a drink when I see you again, darling, next time. Whatever that is. Oh, my goodness.
Well, could be a year.
It could be. But hey, technology, darling, we are here, and I'm sure we'll have another Madonna dance party soon. So it'll be fabulous. Yeah, amazing. Well, Tony, thank you so much. And so, Outperform Consulting is your business currently?
Outperform. So that's PR.
Yeah.
PRF4m.com and Tony Holmwood, HOLMwoods.com for my book. And
the book is fantastic, by the way. So if anyone wants to know about this whole concept in more detail, primarily from an HR perspective, and what's the title of the book again, Tony?
It's called Best Behavior.
Best Behavior. It's fantastic.
It's a behavioral framework to actually develop high performance cultures, and so leaders and managers can act as coaches.
Well, I highly recommend it. And honestly, if anything here has resonated with you today, this is it on steroids. So I'll put the links in the post as well. But Tony, thank you again. And look, I look forward to having more conversations with you. And and thank you for adding this value. I think it's something that a lot of people are probably not really considering right now, but it's probably one of the most important things as a leader you should be looking at in order to survive this. So thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you very much, Katija, and thank you very much for the opportunity. And we will chat soon.
We will. Thank you. Bye.